and we'll put some of them on the screen as we go. So let's see here.
Hello. Listen, I'm confident that we can get to everything tonight, but I am a little concerned because as the days continue, there is so much news day to day, because Chris and I were just talking about this today, like just in the last 48 hours, that we... I can't quit my day job, y'all. Like, I can't be here every day, but that's what it feels like. It feels like we need to be here every day because we can't even get to half of what we want to get to. But I think today, if we move fast enough, we can get to them.
So this is my favorite poll. And I don't know if y'all care about this, but I found this recently. Most Americans say Trump is not honest and lacks mental sharpness to serve as president. And it's like, this is real. And I feel like a lot of the polls ask very general questions like, how is he doing on the economy? How's he doing on, those kind of things that we always hear about. And I was shocked to see that because lacks mental sharpness. I think that's,
he has the best words. What are we talking about?
What? Has no one been watching since 2015? I'm so confused. But especially after what we went through with Biden, I feel like that's like an extra, stab in the leg, because what do you mean? Like, that's...
I'm waiting for Jake Tapper's next book.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I hope he's taking notes. I mean, honestly, and this is ridiculous.
I hope he excommunicates himself to an island and we never see him again. Honestly, that's how I feel about it. And that's how most of online, if you go to Threads, they just will not give him any peace. Thank God.
You're talking about Trump or Jake Tapper?
Both, but Jake Tapper specifically.
They could go together.
Truly. I saw this one and I wanted to point out the fact that 78% of Americans think that democracy is in danger. Thank you. Welcome aboard. But it's interesting because if you look at Trump's approval ratings, they don't match with this. So I'm just curious about the people, where do they feel the threat is coming from?
Well,
exactly.
That's the thing.
I'm just curious.
They do match because they're talking about two different things. You have the Trump supporters that are saying that it's because of election integrity.
Yeah.
And that we need the SAVE Act. And then you have us who are in reality going, fascism.
Yeah. It's deeply concerning how much of the cognitive dissonance is astounding on a regular basis.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that other than Republicans, most people are unhappy with the price of groceries and the ICE hunting down Americans on the street, and the election integrity stuff. Oh, and let's not forget about the Epstein investigation cover up. And I mean, people are, Venezuela and the possibility of going to war with Iran by the president who should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize.
I'm going to stop you there because we will be here all night if you continue
exactly
to list all of the things.
Okay, we have a little clip. Let's play that.
60% disapproval of Trump, and this is just ahead of his State of the Union address, which is tomorrow. Guy Benson joining me now. Guy, what does he have to say tomorrow to swing voters kind of in his favor?
Well, Stuart, I think it's going to be a hard thing to do just because, as we've seen in recent years, it's kind of a self-selecting pool that watches these things at this point. So he'll have a lot of his own supporters tuned in. So I'd imagine to some extent it'll be preaching to the choir. There are people who are curious or barely follow politics who will get at least bits and pieces of it. That's the key audience, politically speaking, because you and I have said this before. We'll probably keep talking about it for months. When people start to feel a better economy, things could start getting better for the Republican Party. Unless and until that happens, it's going to be tough sledding like this, pun intended with the blizzard in New York, because President Trump needs to not just tell people that things are getting better, they need to understand it on a very personal level.
And here's the bizarre thing about what this gentleman is saying. Trump isn't even telling people it's getting better. He's just telling us we're imagining the more expensive stuff we're buying at the stores, that we're actually paying more for less. And so this is why he'll never be on that page because he can't even admit that he's responsible for a crappy economy. And I think I don't have a poll on this, but I think if you ask a lot of people, they think we're already in a recession. Technically, we are not. Like we haven't had negative growth. But I think the average consumer doesn't see it that way. They're like, we're in a recession.
Well, wait a minute. He came out the other day and he said it was all fixed. It was all great. Mortgage
How can you
rates are
fix something
dropping,
if you
price
never
of-
acknowledged it?
We're the hottest country, Chris. Come on. I mean, haven't you been paying attention? The Dow is at $50,000. Oh, wait a minute. Not dollars. I mean,
The price of eggs
nuts.
are down. He
Yes.
neglected to say that it's quail eggs, but
and you need quail eggs, if you don't know, are like really tiny, and you need like 15 of them to make an omelet. So, that's actually a pretty funny joke, Chris.
who doesn't know that? I mean, come on.
People that, I don't know. Well, I'm sure that Sir Donald and the Epstein class all are well aware of how quail eggs work. But, those of us in the real world, aside from know-it-all lawyers like me, may not know.
I'm not having an omelet at your house.
Wise man.
I would like to point out, you guys, that the president of entertainment got 4 million less views this year than he did last year. So I think there's some folks that are tired. There's some folks that are tired because I'm pretty sure 4 million folks, they don't all have a D next to their name. So I saw that and I was, because he normally like pipes up right when his viewership is up and we had so many people, and the folks on social media tend to really boost that, and it's been so quiet. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Sure enough, I looked it up and 4 million less. I'm loving it. I love it because it tells me a lot actually about what's going on, right? So
Oh
All
my
right, so let's talk
God.
about this Surgeon General confirmation hearing that happened. Was that yesterday?
Yes. But it feels like a lifetime ago. Well, and today, I think it continued into today, didn't it? Like,
they
didn't
voted to
yeah.
move it forward today. Yeah.
Right. And so I would just like to say that every single day my blood pressure is tested. And this was a significant one for me because when I had never heard of her. This happens to me all the time. Everybody knows who everybody is. And I'm like, who the hell is Casey Means? I don't claim her as a Casey, number one. Like, how dare you take my name and act like this? She's not a doctor. She went to medical school supposedly and left during her surgical residency and decided to be a functional medicine doctor, which, by the way, I'm not going to jump all over because I see a functional medicine doctor, but she works at an integrative practice, with a lab core in it where we have blood work drawn, and she's really big on vaccines and science, right? This lady doesn't have a current medical license. It expired back in 2024. And she peddles shit on Instagram, like for companies. And then she doesn't say that she's partnering with them. She just like advertises. She's like, oh yeah, like this wonderful product is amazing, but she's getting a kickback for it. And Chris Murphy outed her. We have a clip of this. Her attitude, like this is the thing about every single person that Trump taps has the same degree of entitlement that he does. Like, how dare you question me? And she tries to run this.
Pam Bondi
Thank you.
energy.
100%.
All right, let's hear this clip.
Testing platform data shows that you disclosed your partnership with them less than a third of the time that you recommended their services online. Genova Diagnostics, you disclosed your sponsorship in only 2 of the 9 times that you promoted Genova. Daily Harvest, you disclosed your sponsorship in only 3 of the 14 posts recommending that product. Zen Basil Seeds, you disclosed your partnership only 2 out of the 13 times that you recommended the product. This seems systemic. It seems that in the majority of instances in which you were, as a medical professional, recommending a product, you were hiding the fact that you had a financial partnership. You seem to be in regular willful violation of the FTC rules. That is concerning, as someone who agrees with Senator Cassidy that our focus has to be on restoring trust in the medical profession. And yet, over and over again, you seem to be at scale recommending products without telling your followers. And you have 200,000 newsletter subscribers. You have almost 1 million Instagram followers. And in only 3 out of 14 times on Daily Harvest, when you were promoting Daily Harvest, you disclosed that you're getting paid by them?
It sounds like you have a lot to say about this issue, and I would be very interested to see how your staff looked at this data. I have a strong feeling that the way in which they gather this data is done intentionally to create these claims that you're making.
Well, I have the backup here. I mean, will you acknowledge that in many instances when you were promoting these products, you did not disclose that you had a financial relationship?
I don't think that's true. If it has happened, if it inadvertently has happened, I would rectify that immediately. However, I would be interested to see how your staff gathered this
I'll be happy to send it to you.
And I will conclude by saying that I
take all the committee members testing platform.
So first of all, I just want to appreciate Chris Murphy. He always brings the receipts. He always says the right things. So I just appreciate him so much. But
I would like to know what pharmaceuticals he's on. I need to know what pharmaceuticals Chris Murphy is taking to be able to handle that. Because like the way I wanted to just get out of the sand and bitch slap her. Like I'm not like the idea that you like he's calling you out. Like he's saying you have only like 2 times have you ever showed that you are in a partnership, a sponsorship with these companies. These other times you've taken money from them and not told people, but you've endorsed the product as a medical professional. That's so unethical. And he's caught her several times. It's systemic. And then she has the audacity to be like, well, I think that you gathered that data to make me look guilty. Ma'am, you are guilty.
I think
that was one of her better answers.
Right?
I think if you let that clip go on, Chris, he actually said, this stuff is readily available on Google.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty much.
That was all we have of Chris Murphy. We have a little more of this. I don't know.
Kim Kane.
Yeah.
But
I had to stop watching. I was horrified.
Listen, not only is this lady not qualified to be Surgeon General, she couldn't even be Surgeon Corporal.
Truly.
So what
Tracy
was talking about earlier was the fact that if I don't mind that we add a functional medicine element to
100%.
To an agency, but it shouldn't be in place of traditional medicine. It should be because a lot of people
in conjunction with,
yes, and I think it would make it better. As long as you don't have a crackpot in there,
right?
And if she's one of those people that are coming up with conspiracies about birth control pills and the abortion pill, that is a big deal. And I don't think that we are making enough out of that because there's so much going on that
and we've seen this before.
Yeah, if she'll just say, okay, well, we're just going to take the birth control pills and abortion pills off the market.
We saw it with all of the Supreme Court justices. They know how to answer this way. It's very clearly their agenda. When she says birth control is a disrespect of life, that's not there. I don't have enough red flags, okay, to show you that that's what she's saying is you don't get birth control. We want to take away birth control from women. And then if you say, are you going to take away birth control from women? They walk back a step and they re-clarify. Lawyers have taught them how to do this. No offense, Adam. That's what's happening here. And they did it with the Supreme Court and they did it with RFK Jr. because he was like, I'm not anti-vaccine really, except for in these instances, but not actually. And then what is he doing now? Making it impossible for people to get vaccines, trying to delay people from getting vaccines, trying to prevent people from getting vaccines. This is all a part of their agenda. Also the part where she talks about, and I think Chris already showed the screenshot of like the spirituality. She's like, I think people are ready to entertain spirituality in medicine. That's not, let's talk about mindfulness like as Buddhists do. That's like, I want the Christian faith to be like teaching, to be in place of like, I don't know, antibiotics at this point. I don't know. I can't even imagine. But the bottom line is this is Maha and this woman is absolutely wholly unqualified. She's not even, I don't even think she's a functional medicine doctor. She's just a grifter. Like everyone else in this administration, they're there to make money and to push the Christian nationalist agenda, their authoritarian regime that they're trying to run here. Most of these people, I mean, I doubt they have college degrees at this point. Like, I truly do. They're just picking them off the street. And
The
I
are
think
you
it's
willing?
important to
nationalism
connect
part.
the dots too back to Project 2025, because when
Right.
she's talking about birth control, they want women to have lots of babies, and that's in Project 2025. This is planned.
Yeah.
that
But
she
there's a
would be-
direct connection, because her brother is the reason that she's in the position she is now.
Mhm.
Her brother, who was the co-author of her big book Good Energy, he started out, he was an intern for the George Bush administration's second term. He then ended up at the Heritage Foundation, and so that is where that connection lies. And then
He's a
that-
lobbyist now, right? Isn't
and
he a lobbyist
yes.
now?
and
Yeah.
the whole reason she is where she is because of hits that she did on Fox News that then brought her to the attention of RFK Jr. And that's how we got to where we are. Is the Heritage Found there's a direct line from the Heritage Foundation to her book being successful to her being in that seat.
Plus,
Okay, we're gonna-
everybody knows that you can't trust anybody with the first name Casey.
We don't. I
Okay,
said
guys,
we
so
don't
there's
claim
another
her
video.
or
Let's
Casey
just-
Anthony.
Let's just watch this one real quick, because this is actually her.
I think when I speak of spirituality, and I do believe Americans are ready to hear about spirituality as it pertains to medicine. 80% of Americans are spiritual or religious. There's amazing evidence coming out of Columbia University, the lab of Dr. Lisa Miller, that spirituality has a large impact on health outcomes. And, so certainly that's a personal anecdote.
I didn't get a chance to post the video today, but I talked about the study that was done at Harvard. I don't know. Do y'all know the study that was done that had to do with prayer and faith? As they did a scientific study, and the people who there was no distinction between the groups that had prayer and those that didn't. But in fact, the groups that knew that they had been prayed over had longer recovery times and more complications and higher instances of anxiety. And that was an actual study with science, like a whole legitimate study. That was back in the early 2000s, I think. So it's interesting that she's trying to make this a thing, because we've already proven that it's not. So anyway, that's
Prayer makes you worse? Is that the takeaway? Wow.
I mean,
I
don't know
I
what to-
read that. The theory
It's-
of it is that if somebody feels that somebody has to pray for them to heal, that they can't do it on their own. So that's more of it creates like
Interesting.
a stressful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read that. Yeah.
like an anti-placebo.
They're not praying
Yeah.
hard enough for me. They need to pray so much harder. If they'd only pray a little harder, maybe I'd get better.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Oh my God, I am in that bad a shape that people are praying over me. Am I going to die? Wow,
Isn't this
that
the
actually
Well,
makes
I
sense.
think
Thanks,
the
Michelle.
birth control stuff is really concerning to me, just because I know several women who take it for medical reasons.
Right.
For
And that's just-
hormonal issues. Yeah. So migraines,
that's
other
their
things.
that's their thing, is they take a kernel of truth. That's the problem. I was explaining this to my husband, because he said, well, wait, but this is true. Like, this one thing was true. And I was like, that's the problem, is they take one thing that's true, and then they use that to start spinning out all these other lies. And this is kind of across the board how they operate until they get to the point where they're just telling full lies. So anyway, we'll stop on that topic, because we're moving up to the detention center expansion. But that seems to be a core, like a thread that follows through here. On to the next grift.
Yeah.
Maybe we should pray over the poor kids that are in the concentration camps, and they'll get better.
So, I mean, we've been hearing about this, that DHS is using warehouses, or they're planning to use warehouses. They're in the process of buying them in order to house immigrants. And we've talked about this a little bit before in our lives, but the big thing here too is some of these are for profit. They are actually, this is going to be a money generating, source for scheme. And these really are internment camps. They are not like a proper detention center. It feels like these are going to be long-term stays. I do not know for sure what the conditions are, but I am in the garment industry and our warehouses are not air conditioned. Now, people have pointed out, like I've posted like aerial views of some of these. There are air conditioning units on top of the building, but usually those aren't for the warehouse. Those are for the offices located at the warehouse. So I think when you see these on the outside, we really don't know how they are on the inside, and we really don't know how any of the current detention centers are on the inside. But what do y'all got to say about this? Because
boxes famously don't create their own heat, and human bodies do. So if you're talking about an HVAC system for something like that, it certainly is not taking into account actual humans being in there creating heat. And also, you don't have any of the infrastructure. You don't have any of the plumbing that you would need for things like bathrooms. You don't have the electric to code that would need to be in place. You need to do so much work on these. And if you think that they're going to actually do it with the intent of having proper living spaces for people, then I have a bridge to sell you.
And
so I put the goal is 92,000 beds and speedy deportations. That's the goal.
That's why that doesn't make
speedy
sense.
deportations. Yeah, it
Sorry,
doesn't
I
make
don't.
any
None of
sense.
that makes sense. Okay, go on. Sorry, I'm so confused by those
I
numbers.
saw a video with Representative Jemiah Paul yesterday where she was saying that they reduced the number of meals because they don't have enough funding from 3 meals a day to 2 meals a day.
Yeah.
This is a money-making scam, and there are people that are the government is overpaying for some of these warehouses. There are people that are grifting off the system completely and entirely. And the scary thing is the way that people are being treated, like the 2-month-old baby who was diagnosed with RSV, was deported, went to the hospital, it lost, it stopped being responsive, this baby. They deported the baby after just a few hours in the hospital and left the mother abandoned on the other side of the border with nothing but what they had in their commissary. No phone, nothing. The woman had to ask someone on the street to borrow the phone so she could call the reporter who she had been working with to tell them, yes, they've actually been deported and my baby is still in very sick conditions. It's so tragic and it's so scary, and it's something that everybody needs to talk about with all their friends and family, because there are a lot of people who don't know that this is going on.
Also, look, let's call these what they are. These are modern day concentration camps, should they actually come to be functional in even the capacity that Chris Q had indicated. I don't know if anybody caught this, but Jamel Bowie did an interview with a concentration camp historian / researcher, and basically came to that conclusion, which I think that we all kind of knew, but people are afraid to say this because they associate death camps and extermination camps and Nazi Germany, and that is the only frame of reference for concentration camps. It does not have to be a death camp, folks. If you are holding together a like group of people in a large amount in one very poorly conditioned space, not feeding them properly, not giving them proper health, not giving them, not allowing them to sleep because the lights are on all day, not giving them proper toileting. This is a concentration camp. And
so
just
we don't
because
have to
you are
look
not
back that far
Ask
to find
George
an
Takei.
example like that. We have Japanese internment camps during World War II. That,
absolutely.
We put Japanese people in horse stalls for starters. So, and these were years. They were in internment camps for years. It wasn't just a couple weeks or months. This is headed nowhere good. I do want to pay, give him his props. Senator Markey was the first senator to actually say abolish ICE. So I think we need to acknowledge that language when it comes up. I also want to go back real quick. I'm going to play this video. Melinda, you made the point that or somebody made the point. What was it, you, Milana, or Michelle? That they don't have enough money to properly feed these individuals, but they do have money for this.
VVIP 737-8 MAX jet. Let's go into the hallway.
$70 million.
We're going to do this together, guys. Paneling's quite nice. This is, I think, maybe a powder room on the left-hand side that the secretary may use. Somebody said there are bidets on board. I don't know if you flip up the toilet seat there, that's a bidet or just a toilet seat, but nice looking either way. And I don't know if it's real wood or laminate or whatever, but pretty fancy looking. This is the kitchen, the galley kitchen. When you go in here, perfect stainless steel appliances. Are those mixed nuts up there? There's a microwave. I don't even have a microwave in my house. I swear to God. 2 fridges, it looks like. Let's go back out into the hallway here and head back towards the back of the plane. Those are all captain's chairs. They look like nice leather. I don't think it's pleather. If there are deportees there, I don't think they're going to be using the wet bar that is in the corner of the aircraft. There's a couple of high stools there that maybe they'll sit on. But these captain's chairs are quite luxurious. When they lay down, I think that they're seating for 18 sleeps, 14 people, if I have this right. Yeah, for $70 million. That's what you get. You also get some of those pillows, which are nice. Those are nice pillows. They got tables there to play cards or have meetings. Nice big TV. Check out the painting on the wall. What does it say? Jet baby. Okay. Another bathroom. Is this a bidet? No, that's a toilet. But there's a shower. By the way, somebody told me the first lady plane until recently didn't even have a single shower in it. There's one. What's in this room? Oh, this is bedroom number 1 with a 3.
So that's where the magic happens, because we know Noam and yeah. Anyway. I mean,
Who did
so
that?
They want you to believe that they are deporting immigrants with this plane. And we are leasing it with our tax dollars. It's a $70 million plane. And now Kristi Noem wants the government, the U.S. government, to purchase this plane. For,
She's already scammed so much money. Like the investigation they did into that $200,000 that was used to make whatever video like thing that was like, she's already there. When this is all said and done, this is how they're going to get all of them. Because like whatever the fuck they have been doing with all of this money, like it's some crazy stuff. Also, I would like to point out that this is how they're going to bring back slavery. This is how they're going to enslave people, are these detention centers. They're going to turn these into labor camps. Like it's going to be within a year. I guarantee you. And they're going to call it some sort of project or penance or like whatever fancy propaganda name they're going to give it. But at the end of the day, they're going to start doing labor to pay for things. And then they're going to use that money that, by the way, they're probably going to, like, contractors are going to like bid for jobs, and it's going to be this whole quid pro quo thing. And then they're going to save all that money that they could have paid contractors, and who God knows what they're going to be buying with that. So just sorry, that's terrible.
And remember, we might end up in there. Us.
Right. Exactly.
You and me and Chris and Chris and
oh, for sure. I have a chronic illness. I'm a woman. I got sleep apnea. They're throwing me in there like immediately. Like I'm just one of the first people. I'm down for the count.
I don't know. I think the plane is fine, because you've got to remember, she needs room for her wardrobe. So, all of her costume changes, that takes up space.
That's important.
That is very important. So,
by the way, props to the reporter there. I don't know if you guys are aware. That's Jacob Soboroff, who really came to national attention by exemplary reporting on the child separation saga during the first Trump administration. He's done excellent work.
It's amazing.
That's a great call out. Yeah. Okay. So while we're talking about Kristi Noem, I just want to make sure we want to dispel a little disinformation when we can. So I'm going to play this video for you guys. And to me, this is jaw dropping. But let's listen.
Are you calling these guys bad hombres? They really are. I was talking to a U.S. Marshal just yesterday, and he was talking about the fact that they were deporting a plane load of illegals, and one of them was a cannibal. And he kind of said it offhanded, and I said to him, what do you mean it was a cannibal? And put another individual in the seat close to him. He said he literally was eating his own arms. That for him, he was that is what he did. He called himself a cannibal, ate other people, and ate himself. Well, they had to take him off of the flight and get him medical attention, and then he went back into the system.
The other day I was talking to some marshals that have been partnering with ICE. They said that they had detained a cannibal, and put him on a plane to take him home. And while they had him in his seat, he started to eat himself.
Look at Trump.
And they had to get him off and get him medical attention. These are the kind of deranged individuals that are on our streets in America that we're trying to target and get out of our country because they are so deranged they don't belong here.
And I talked today about one of the horrific instances of our individuals, our law enforcement officers, having to put hands on individuals that were even cannibals and removing them from our country. These are deranged individuals that other countries released out of their prisons, out of their mental institutions, and sent them to America.
The Intercept spoke to 3 federal law enforcement officials who said the story is fictional. All 3 sources said attempts to verify Noam's claims came up empty. The Intercept reports that Noam has failed to reply to close to 24 requests for comments since July.
So this is like, so I want to go back to, the claim that Haitians are eating their pets. This is all dehumanization. This is all to get people to be afraid of immigrants, to be afraid of brown and black people. And this is just, it's like, I hadn't even heard this, to be honest, until like very late in the game. But you can see this is something she kept repeating as if it was true. And the way it works with MAGA is you repeat it often enough, as we see Trump do. That side of the aisle or whatever they are, they believe that shit. This is
how their influencers get so many followers too, is they come on, they have speeches, they are consistent, they show up consistently and say the same things, and people eventually, a lot of people don't believe it, and a lot of people get in their comments and give them shit for it, but a lot of people do, because it's a time and a numbers thing. They just keep plugging away, and eventually those lies either seem less ridiculous and flagrant, or people just believe them. And it's a stunningly effective strategy, and I hate that.
And the more horrific the story, right? The more it flies on social media. So
at this point, after what we've seen in the Epstein files, I just feel like everything's projection. I feel like if they're saying stuff like this, it's probably because they absolutely know it's happened somewhere else and that their people were a part of it. That's just, I don't even care if you want to put a 10-foot hat on me. Like at this point, I'm willing to go on record saying that, because everything we keep seeing turns out to be that's the case. So
yeah, I feel like I owe some people an apology, actually.
I'm still waiting for the apology for the Haitian community.
Well, I'm still waiting for my Soros check.
And Trump did this, the dehumanizing language in the State of the Union address when he was saying the Somali pirates is how he phrased it. That they have terrorized Minnesota. So this is a constant stream of dehumanization.
And it's their playbook. It's definitely their playbook. So have you all seen this? I think this was last week, or maybe it was over the weekend, with his latest Greenland
hospital ship.
Yeah, it was to send a boat from Louisiana that I guess is not functional. I don't know. What do you
dry dock?
Yeah. So, and I don't even get, like, a lot of people were pointing out that Greenland has, public health care. They have, Medicare for all, whatever. They have a public option there. So why are we spending our talk stuff? Like, why was that even an intention to send a boat over there for medical?
Chris, you got to take that off the screen. I can't be staring at that, man. I love you.
Okay. We will move on from this particular point, but I don't think this boat ever left. But I'm gonna put something else that I found this week. So Hitler had a Greenland obsession, and we're not gonna spend long on this one, but I do think it's notable that like, two peas in a pod, birds of a feather. I don't know.
So they both didn't understand the Mercator projection. Is that what we're taking from this?
You're gonna have to explain that, Chris.
Well, there's an episode of The West Wing that explains this very well. I'll just point people to
there
that.
You go. People can Google The West Wing. What episode was that?
Coming up next, Bradley Whitford joins the crew.
He has an obsession with Hitler. He really does.
He really does. Do you think it's because he feels like he just wants that notoriety? Like, it's not so much that he necessarily like was raised like as a Nazi and like thought that that was cool stuff. He was just like, but everybody knows his name. And if I were that, everybody would know my name. And he's just obsessed with his legacy so much that he just wants that kind of notoriety. Like, is that what this is?
I don't know that he wasn't raised with that kind of ideology. I
That's
mean, his
also a good
father was
That's a good point.
Ku Klux Klan.
who he praised just the other night in the State of the Union address. My
valid.
father, Fred, was such a great guy, and and he's the one that was denying.
Well, they also weren't close
African-Americans
though. So that was the other
housing.
thing. I was like, he wasn't close with his dad, was he? That was the whole thing.
Close enough to get $400 million from him.
Yeah, really.
Right.
Didn't there was also an allegation way back that he used to keep a book with Hitler's speeches on his night table, I believe.
Yeah.
His former wife.
Is that not true? I thought it was.
Ivana.
I don't know.
The one that's buried on his golf course?
That one.
That definitely wasn't pushed down the stairs? Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Let's
Chris is like, all right, now that there's allegations of murder, let's move on.
We said definitely not.
I did. I'm safe, right, Adam? I'm
There were
good.
banana peels all over the stairs, but
So moving on to Epstein for a little bit. Zorro Ranch. So the authorities in New Mexico approved re-examining Zorro Ranch, and there's some interesting allegations there. For people that don't know, first of all, it's a huge yeah. So supposedly 2 young women or girls, I'm not really clear on the age, were murdered and buried there. I just want to bring up another point, and I know this is going to conspiracy theory area, but there is truth here. So I know Elon Musk is like this too, but also Epstein. There is a whole ass. You could read about his obsession with repopulating the Earth in his image or whatever, and it has to go with what is it? Eugenics and replacement theory. So let's watch this. I thought this was an interesting video. Let me cue this up. Here we go.
More time investigating Epstein's Zorro Ranch in New Mexico because look at what I just found. This email was sent by someone who says he was former staff at the Zorro. He writes, "Did you know somewhere in the hills outside the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G. Madam G is, of course, Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's right hand. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex." And then in the second half of the email, he's sending links to videos that we obviously don't have access to. The titles are so disturbing. Sex video with minor, threesomes, underage girl R fantasy, and then this last one that's 15 minutes and 19 seconds, girl from Bay Area suicide attempt confession to Madam G audio. And it just seems like this massive, clearly isolated ranch can hold the key to a lot of answers. If you haven't heard of it yet, it's this huge property located 40 miles south of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and it's been described as a little village because of how huge it is. There's a 3-story mansion, an off-the-grid cabin, a firehouse, an airport hangar, a helipad. Epstein actually bought it from the former governor of New Mexico. And there have been other really concerning complaints coming out of this ranch. Here's another tip that was sent to the FBI from an unknown girl. Stated in early 1982, Epstein and Maxwell were flying a jet out of Las Vegas, taking girls and going to New Mexico. Said it was a fuck fest on the plane. And then if you go further down, this is really disturbing. In 1982, stated there was a blue and white building, a child's body was buried under the building, and it's a mausoleum or a small building in New Mexico. The Epstein file drop also showed tons of photos like this, just redacted images of potentially nude girls or women labeled Zorro. So as you can see, there's just so much coming out of this place for it to go uninvestigated. The good news is that New Mexico lawmakers are launching a truth commission to basically investigate this ranch and Epstein's activities here. So maybe we'll get some answers. I came across these files at midnight last night, so
So I think a few years ago, this would have been like impossible to believe, but I think now I definitely want to know. I hope they really are doing a proper investigation because there's no way.
why didn't they investigate it?
I think they did because the language they're using is reopening. So I think they did do an investigation, but how bad, like they weren't really taking anything with the Epstein files seriously in the past. And so I don't think they did that thorough of a job. And I think, and also it matters who you have do it. You know what I mean? Like who is doing the investigation? Are you having proper forensic scientists? And, maybe now they're actually looking for something that makes sense with everything we know. I don't know.
Yeah.
The sad problem, I think, is that no matter who is doing the investigation at this point, how much trust can you have? And that's really one of the huge overarching problems that we don't talk about probably enough, is that Trump has shattered trust in the system, in the policing system, in the Department of Justice, so that it's hard to accept, even if it's New Mexico State without federal assistance doing it, you trust the results. The line between conspiracy and fact has been blurred so much that it's hard to know what's real and what isn't, what's full-blown tinfoil hat conspiracy and what's got a grain of truth that actually could lead to some investigative result.
What's AI? And what's AI? People are,
that
you
too.
won't believe my video. Some people say, this is AI. This is AI. I'm like, this is not AI. Some of it was.
The way the files are searchable, and the unfortunate part is that creator, I don't know who that creator is. I don't know what her reputation is. I don't know what to believe. And so anything that comes out from any of these files that individuals are putting forth, there is no buy-in from the public to that person, because there's no Walter Cronkite. There's no authority figure that you can absolutely trust saying, no, really, this is in the files. You need to look at this. There's no vetting process for it.
It's helpful when people do create videos or post things, that they post the file number. I think that's really helpful.
I try to attach the actual file in my post, and then a link to where that file is found. And because we don't there is still misinformation out there, a lot of it. And, I do feel I have credibility with my followers, and I don't want that to end. I'm not trying to be on some conspiracy theory shit, especially it's something as serious as this. I think there are some things that are out there that are kind of funny or kind of fun to talk about, but this is not one. This is not this.
Certainly not.
Let's pivot a little bit, still on the Epstein files, but let's talk about the missing files. And this has come out over the past couple of days that watch this video.
The department has withheld notes and memos reflecting FBI interviews from its release of the Epstein files, including interviews with a woman who accused President Donald Trump of sexually abusing her when she was a minor. The thing is, Emmis now has found that the FBI conducted at least 4 interviews with that woman, but only one record from just the first of those 4 interviews was actually released to the public. But by piecing together publicly available documents and getting confirmation from a source who has access to the unredacted files, Emmis now was able to report that in one or more of those subsequent interviews, which were later recounted by the FBI, the victim alleged that Trump forced her to perform oral sex on him 35 years ago when she was 13 or 14 years old, and also hit her. Of course, the White House has claimed that President Trump has been totally exonerated on anything related to Epstein, as they do. So why didn't the Justice Department release those interviews? It's a question the DOJ doesn't seem to want to answer. All they've said is that all responsive documents have been produced except for anything that's a duplicate or privileged or part of an ongoing federal investigation. Now, that last bit, the exception that lets the Justice Department withhold documents that are part of an ongoing federal investigation, that might be why the ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee, Robert Garcia, is now demanding to know whether Donald Trump himself is now under investigation for allegations of sexual assault. Emmis now reported those files as missing yesterday. NPR reported those files missing yesterday. And today, the New York Times also confirmed that reporting. The Justice Department has...
So That's an important point. So basically, the law that Congress passed, you can, because these files she's talking about are not redacted; they're just missing, right? So the law that Congress passed allows you to remove files if it's under a current investigation. So the question being asked is, okay, so does that mean Trump is under a current investigation by the DOJ? Does anybody believe that? Like these were actually just like, I mean, come on. So they're shielding him just like they always do, and this is part of that shield.
But I would believe that. I would believe
he's
that.
under investigation. I don't.
No, because you're thinking about. So you're a good person. So let's think about this like you're evil,
and you're not,
and smart. So no, I'm very good at thinking absolute worst case scenario. Why did Jeffrey Epstein have power? He had power because of information. So why would you investigate the president? You would investigate it in order to make sure that whoever could say anything can't. And anybody else, you hold the golden goose right now of information. You can blackmail people the way he did. You can get so much out of this. And so why not use the FBI? And again, like they say, every accusation is a confession. Weaponize the FBI, weaponize the Department of Justice in order to extort people in exactly the same way.
I mean,
So-
I personally believe that they've been that Trump has probably been extorting many Republicans. When you look at behavior of someone like Lindsey Graham or something like that, who was friends with President Biden, and then some of the things that he said and did, it makes very little sense unless maybe he was being blackmailed.
But here's what I don't understand about that, Melina. Maybe you can answer this. Because I agree with you, but I'm also like, wait a minute. That made sense like 5-10 years ago. At the point that we're at now, in all of the horrific shit that we've seen, everything that's so terrible, what the hell can they possibly have on these people that's worse than that? Like at this point, I feel like everything that Donald Trump's done and the Republicans have done, that's eclipsed anything that could, like, it's like what you had sex with some underage people. Well, yeah, so did everybody in these files, and nobody cares about that. So like whatever, right? Like what?
Nah, I don't think it's any any deleterious material. I don't think it's bribery or anything of that nature. I think they want to grift, and if they don't follow Trump, they don't stay in office, then they lose their opportunity to grift. At least at this level.
Yeah.
By the way, ultimately. By the way, I'm going to do another call out here. I'm pretty sure, even though Jen Psaki kept saying MS Now reported, I'm pretty sure it's Roger Sollenberger who first reported this story way before anybody else.
Right. I think a lot of people, he first reported it, and then a lot of the other news agencies verified it, including the New York Times and all of that. But yeah, definitely, that's a good call out.
I'm 2 for 2.
That's great.
All
We
right.
need you.
So this is like trending today. Hillary Clinton, and
That is
I don't
my-
know when they're gonna they need to learn, like, do not come for Hillary Clinton. I think what they did is going to backfire on them huge.
If for no other reason than that they have made a new meme, because this is already trending with like if I send you this, you message me something.
Did you not
stupid.
learn from the Benghazi hearing?
I'm surprised they didn't ask her about Benghazi. I mean,
Well, they're in my comments.
I mean,
they're in my comments talking about it. So that's where it's happening. If you want to know, go to my post. Everybody's talking about it there. I had to turn on the reply. I had to turn off the replies because I can't babysit that post. There's so much disinformation in there. Anyway, they won't shut up about it there. I'm surprised they didn't in the hearing.
Watch this clip real quick.
Picture. It was just posted a moment ago by a right-wing podcaster who said he got it from Lauren Boebert, who was inside that room, which, by the way, is against the rules. Hillary Clinton appears to have had limited to no relationship at all with Jeffrey Epstein. Her name does appear in the Epstein files, but mostly in forwarded articles about her presidential run in 2016. She does, however, appear to have known Ghislaine Maxwell, but even the extent of that relationship is murky. In her opening statement, Clinton told the committee, quote, "I had no idea about Epstein and Maxwell's criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island, homes, or offices. I have nothing to add to that." Then she turned the table on House Oversight Chair James Comer, demanding he treat the current president, Donald Trump, with as much suspicion as he's treating both her and Bill Clinton. Quote, "You have compelled me to testify fully aware that I have no knowledge that would assist your investigation in order to distract attention from President Trump's actions."
I mean, to me, touchdown, because it's like they invited her there or forced her there, really, and she turned the tables like of course she would. We're also going to show a clip of her press conference, but when I saw this earlier today, not really a press conference, her statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw that earlier today, I was like, thank you. And part of the terms of this, as I understand it, they are supposed to make the entire video of her testifying public. This is not supposed to be secret, but I'm telling y'all, they are making clips behind the scenes. They're making, because some of the questions they asked her are crazy. What do you guys have anything to say? Do you want me to skip to the press conference, which is like a couple minutes?
You can skip to the press conference.
Yeah.
That's fine.
On rules based on the fact it was going to be a closed hearing at their demand. And one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might violate other of our agreements. So we had to cease the hearing for a period of time until we could get assurances that no rules would be broken going forward, and we returned to answer questions repetitively, literally over and over again. I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices. So it's on the record numerous times. It then got, at the end, quite unusual because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the internet that was serving as the basis of a member's questions to me. No Republican member asked any questions about Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to anyone else they have deposed. And in fact, the Republican members didn't even show up for the deposition of Les Wexner. And when I said that, I had to point out that the only questions that any Republican member asked of any of the people they deposed was of former Attorney General Bill Barr when Chairman Comer asked him about the allegations, in his view, about Russia's involvement in my election in 2016. So at the very end of this hearing, after I made that point, I want to commend Chairman Comer for raising a series of significant questions that I responded to about the nature of the investigation and the areas that I thought should be explored. So I appreciated that. I want to see the truth come out. So that was a reassuring way to end a very long, repetitive deposition. We had agreed to.
How does she come across to you guys?
She's still
love
too
her
classy.
so much.
She's still too classy. I tell you, God love her. You know, that she said a Republican member shared a photo when in the photo is Lauren Boebert's name tag. So, like, this was not secret at all. She could have thrown under the bus the person that asked about UFOs. She could have thrown under the bus the person that asked about Pizzagate, and she still didn't. God damn it. Why wasn't this woman president?
I
Chris.
feel about Hillary
Misogyny.
Clinton the way that I feel about Gwyneth Paltrow, right? It's like two of the most hated women, and for some reason I find them so fucking entertaining. Like I
was like,
she's-
what?
No, because it's like it's the same thing. It's like they're both really confident about what they do, and they kind of don't give any fucks about it, right? Like that's the thing. Is like she's gonna do what she's gonna do, and like she's like, you know, it is what it is. And I think a lot of other women would have been like, I'm out, done. I'm like, this is ridiculous, like, right? Like, because who has patience for this? But like, again, I'd like to know, her and Chris Murphy, the pharmaceuticals they must take to be able to endure, like for her to sit down, this is like how many times, I wrote a post today, like how many times is Hillary Clinton going to have to testify in my lifetime when the powerful men don't have to? Like at what point are we putting someone else on the stand?
When she testified for Benghazi, you could tell she was annoyed. But
Yeah.
her stamina for her, what is it? 11 hours?
Amazing.
11 hours.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I was actually in Vietnam, and so it was the middle of the night for me. And I woke up. I sleep with the TV on. I do, and I woke up to that, and that was my president. I made up my mind then, and you know, she lost, and I was pretty sick. So
I feel like a lot of the mannerisms that she does give away, like what she doesn't keep behind her poker face, are things that we relate to. Like they're very relatable. Like her exasperation at that point, we were also feeling, right? Like that's a lot of what she does give away. You know, she may not be the most relatable person, and she may not be the kind of person that people connect with, like, right? Like, and she's maybe too, you know, like, I don't know, like some people feel that way, but I think the
Smart.
stuff that she,
She's too smart.
yeah, I think that's
You're a
exactly
woman.
what it is. I think that's exactly what it is. And I often wonder, I don't know, like there's people like this. I always wonder if there's like a little spectrumy, because usually I have like bonds with those people, like where I'm like, something about you that like I vibe with, and I don't know.
I think she's
never been-
brilliant. I love Hillary Clinton. I think she's brilliant.
She's incredibly intelligent, but she's never been a good retail politician, and that ultimately
That's
was
true.
a big problem.
I think that, coupled with the fact that the right has run a masterful
Yes.
campaign against her, and I've said this before, I will say it again. When you have a smart female candidate like her, the amount of, like we've talked about, memetic warfare or meme warfare.
Mhm.
The amount of, like, I did a thing on this, and the amount of memes, they all are like paint the same picture: Hillary Clinton, AOC, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and I'm sure we'll have our share. I haven't checked on Jasmine Crockett, but the quantity of these memes that are all the same. They're stupid. They slept their way to the top. They're all the same, and they always pick the worst possible angle of a photo. And now I'm sure they're using AI, and it's repetitive, and then it spreads amongst the base, the MAGA base.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we're on this side doing encyclopedias and whatever, like with our memes, they don't compare. So the Republicans are doing these really entertaining memes with this incredible disinformation, and some of it's on based on a kernel of truth, and we're bringing a butter knife to a sword fight. And I'm just being honest. When you really study the memes that are out there, this is how they're winning, and this is how they vilify women.
And
And
at
then
the
the
heart-
We should have like 1 million pedo-prez memes.
Yeah.
I
Sex
mean,
fest. I mean, it should be constant, nonstop, every day. The Epstein and Trump,
They're there. It's just we're not using them. You have to really go into, like, because even with Epstein, the right they're not that happy with Trump, a lot of them, and they've come out with these memes. I'll do a collection for us, but get them
what's
together.
interesting-
They
what's
do better
interesting-
memes than we do. What's that?
They do. Well, I was going to say, yeah, to that, what's interesting is the other half that aren't annoyed about the, like, that basically think like, well, we can look the other way in terms of pedophilia. That's fine. Those people are already shutting down the memes. And it's interesting because not only are they effective at making them and spreading them, but they're also effective at ignoring them or dismissing them. Like it takes more, because they won't just stop. Like they keep going. Like they have her stamina for questioning, they have for being trolls, like is what I'm saying. Like they really do have the ability to just keep at it, where other people like the Democrats just don't have that staying power. They're like, all right, well, we've talked about this for like it's been a couple weeks, we got to move on. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's really hard to keep the Democrats on something like what Milena was saying, like some sort of campaign where we just like constantly beat it over and over and over. I hate the phrase beat a dead horse, but that's what they do that really well, and we just kind of move on.
In our defense, though, we didn't have Russia propaganda machines and bots really helping us.
That is true,
right?
Yeah,
So
100%.
I think
they have the money.
Really,
they have
key too. And
I also
what
think
she
we're
said,
a little on the more intelligent side. And,
yeah,
you know, those kind of like someone put digging more memes will not help. That is because we're not like, you have to find the right kind of meme.
We're not getting our information from,
but not like over the top. That will work for us, and they're out there. We just don't do the quantity of them. Like the
I'd like to point out something really quick about what Hillary said about how she thought it was ridiculous that they asked her about Pizzagate, because what's coming out in the Epstein files and the and UFOs, which he now is saying he's he's marking as unclassified. But to that point, it's coming out in the files that Epstein and Bannon were the ones responsible for pushing that Pizzagate nonsense to QAnon, which is literally, when we're talking about propaganda, that is where all of this, like how my personal opinion is why she didn't win, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So,
and
I find it all it's all tied together.
The word pizza has meanings in their like in their pedophilia dictionary. So like in fact it is based on real information.
It's based on their truth. They're just projecting it. They were projecting it on her.
This is what I mean when Kristi Noem's talking about cannibalism. I'm like, babe, like let's give it 10 or 15 years. Like I'm not 100% convinced we aren't going to see some stuff like that, because again, everything that they say is based on these lies. It's projection. That's what it is.
And I had Democratic friends, like Bernie Bro Democratic friends, sending me this Pizzagate stuff constantly. So they had it.
It does leak into the left spaces. It does.
They're gonna go. It's like the far right and the far left are like connected. There's like a little circle, and then like
It's the horseshoe theory. Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Meanwhile, anybody else find it weird that the same week, basically, we got Obama being asked about aliens and Hillary being asked about UFOs?
They've had hearings, Adam.
I don't know, man.
I could
Trump
really
has also
use an
said
alien
he's going
right
to
now.
release the classified UFO files.
Yeah, he said that before. I think he said that back in 2019.
I think he's just trying to say, oh, Epstein, what about the UFOs? I think it's
that, and he wants to be the one that like releases stuff so that everybody's talking about him. But also I would like to point out that we are now in a timeline where nobody gives a fuck about aliens, because like that's not a big deal anymore. Like now we're at the point where, oh yeah, like I assume there's aliens anyway. Like our president's doing what now? And that's the thing, is that you can't surprise people anymore. We're to the point where like satire's dead. Like the Onion isn't really the Onion anymore, because I can't tell if it's real or not.
What I would do for a spaceship right now. Yeah.
Right? Take
Wait,
me up, God.
Please. Yes.
Beam me up.
What the heck is this? Ghislaine Maxwell doppelganger? I didn't even
Okay.
see this.
Yeah.
So let's have a little fun. This is a little
Oh,
fun topic here.
AI.
Let's leave something. So let me put up a different photo. Here we go.
Talking about propaganda. Yeah.
So remember, I should have saved the photo of where she was testifying and pleaded the fifth. Everyone was like, that is not her. The one thing I did have trouble with, because I was like, whatever, she's age, whatever. and there were explanations for a lot of it. But the hooded eyelids going away, like she actually had a crease in the eyelids. That's not something that, like, that's usually a surgical thing. Is she getting surgery? Then this came out where somebody was in Canada, saw this woman on the street and was like, hey, Galeen. And I think they pronounced it like a little off too. And she was like, no, you know, whatever. Did y'all see this? Yeah. So Adam, clearly
but
you
she
did.
turned around.
I
but
did
she
not.
turned around.
She did. So
She
look at
responded.
this woman. This looks just like her, right? I'm
It
I
does
think
look
it does.
it does look
It
like
looks
her.
more like
absolutely.
her than the other video. Yeah, it does. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Is that photo AI generated though? Is it
Yes.
somebody else?
Yeah,
And
so that's the
and
point
her
I'm getting to
photo is
here.
put onto it. Yeah.
That was a fake. It wasn't just a photo. It was a video, and it was an AI video. And this just shows you where we are at these days when things seem too nutty or whatever. Same thing. Like, I don't like. There's also this photo. I think I have it somewhere, but I will skip it. A photo of photos of Epstein supposedly in Israel. I personally think those are fake too. Like, I do admit it looks like an older version of him, but that goes to this whole conspiracy that he didn't really die. That was a double, that they took the body out. And, you know, there's this letter. What's that letter that his brother released where the dates were wrong, which could be a clerical error. There's just things here that are like, I don't think we can. It's really easy to go down these rabbit holes. And maybe some of these things are true. I don't know. But like, this is fake. And we spend a lot of time. A lot of people spend a lot of time looking at this, huh?
If they're alive, they're not going to be hanging out in Canada or Israel. They're going to be on
That's the
some
thing.
like island or something, you know?
But and that's the problem. So here's the. I also feel like it's a disservice to what could be an actual conspiracy theory, right? Because I see the videos and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think, you know, that looks like AI to me, or like that doesn't look real to me. But I'm also like, but I'm not discounting the fact that he could be alive. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not putting anything past these people right now, but you are bringing me fake evidence right now. So I really would like people to chill on the fake evidence. Let's look for the real stuff because it might actually exist. Like, let's put people on that.
What? I still
like
believe
there's
that
plenty
John
of
F. Kennedy Jr. is still alive and is going to run with Trump for a third term. Come on.
Why aren't they
It's all out there.
resurrecting? Yeah, that's the
It's all out
resurrection.
there. The evidence is there if you look hard enough.
Well, I mean, also, I think we should acknowledge that life right now is so crazy. Like, there's so many things that if you just told me a couple of years ago, I'd be like, that is definitely not happening. And if you put it in a movie, it would be a terrible movie. So it's just like that's another reason why these things are like, oh, okay. You know,
I
like,
miss the days of where the hands had like 7 fingers and you could go, oh yeah, look, you can't tell anymore. It really is difficult. I watched that video. Honestly,
I've been practicing, Michelle.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you some of this stuff when I find like the practice stuff. I'm gonna send it your way too, because I keep trying to practice with that high level AI recognition because it's so hard.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it's gonna be really
I
good.
always thought I was pretty good at detecting, you know, because I can tell like a pitch of a voice. There's certain
voice,
patterns
yes.
that don't match up to
can't
me.
trust
But this
Casey's.
video,
No, don't
this
trust me because
video
I don't
was
listen.
really hard to.
AI is
Except it
so
was too
good.
perfect. The only thing that I didn't believe was that the scenario was too perfect for somebody to go, oh, look, oh, just laying there. Oh, and she's like, you know, and then he says, I can't remember exactly what he said, but something to the effect of, oh yeah, I used to buy pizza from her or something. Like, I don't think anybody, if they actually saw her on the street, would have that immediate type of response. So I was like, yeah, that's not believable.
That's
Yeah.
it. I have to start
But-
listening to the videos because
It's
I don't ever
harder.
listen to anything. Like, I don't ever have I don't keep my earbuds on because I don't want all that noise when I'm scrolling. So like, I just look at stuff and I'm like, oh, now I have to listen because that's usually that's the giveaway now. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
getting so good with the movements and stuff that even the movements are getting to be more precise. And I'm like, oh, I have to listen to stuff now. Ah, it's annoying. Just one more thing. Speaking of
So-
annoying, that's a segue.
Ta-da.
So, okay, I don't remember what it was, but what was it, last week or earlier this week, where the Supreme Court said that Trump's tariffs or the way he was implementing them was illegal. Adam, can you help us out with that? What did they say?
Adam won't speak until you put something over his face.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, the Supreme Court obviously struck down the Trump tariffs, stating, well, at least 6 out of the 9 members. If ever there should have been a 9-0 decision, you would think that this would have been it, but we've got Alito and Roberts and the beer boy.
Thomas. Oh, was it Thomas?
Thomas and Thomas. I'm sorry, Alito, Thomas, not Roberts.
Kavanaugh.
My error.
I was confused.
And
Okay,
Kavanaugh.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, Roberts actually wrote the decision.
Yeah. And basically they said what the Constitution says, that the only entity in the government that has the right to tariff is Congress. And of course, Trump, not looking a gift horse in the mouth, where tariffs have destroyed the economy, and like we spoke about earlier, beef being up 22%, orange juice being up 28%, and everything basically going to hell. Instead of saying, well, okay, I tried, and taking that loss and turning it into a win, turned around and instituted new tariffs, first 10%, then 15%, under a provision of the law, which, surprise, surprise, he once again is not allowed to do because it's illegal. It's got to be a certain loss of a deficit of payments or something of that nature. I forget what the exact language is. Sorry, folks. I couldn't prep. I was out all evening at a legal affair.
It's good. It's
So-
totally fine.
Then he had a meltdown, remember? And he was just going off about, like, I'm able to destroy a country. I'm able to do all the things, right? Except I can't charge a country $1. And you remember all that? Like, that was just, he went on a rant, and he went on first it was, I think he posted on Truth Social, and then he did like a crazy ass speech, which, whatever. But then he went on, well, we'll just watch.
In Virginia, Republican. Let's hear from you.
Well, this is John Barron, and this is the worst decision you've ever had in your life, practically. Jack's going to agree with me, right? But this is a terrible decision. And you have Hakeem Jeffries, he's a dope, and you have Chuck Schumer, who can't cook a cheeseburger. Of course these people are happy. Of course these people are happy. But true Americans will not be happy. And you have the woman earlier, I assume she's a woman, she's a Democrat, but she said she's disgraced. She's devastated.
All right,
by
John.
this.
So is this dementia, or like where is this even? I don't know. What are you?
Was that supposed to be his voice? Wait,
It's
was
not.
that him
It's
talking?
not him. It's someone that was trolling him. However,
Okay, thank you.
However, he did in the 80s pose as someone named John Barron, who was.
I think that person did a pretty good impression.
No, they did.
Yeah,
but,
it was a
but
good
and but again, there is a kernel of truth to this, because
Well,
in
Chris,
the 80s,
on that thought,
posed
Learned the
as
tactic from his father,
this is a little
Fred
backstory.
Trump, who sometimes used the name Mr. Green.
He was Mr. Green. Fred was, when he called up and asked questions. He said, "This is Mr. Green." And Donald was later John Barron.
I don't think Donald was necessarily evasive with the press when he used his alter ego, John Barron. I think it gave him the opportunity to say things that he couldn't say as Donald Trump.
John Barron helped take the heat off Trump. The media moved on, and Trump Tower became his most iconic property.
He's got a real punchable face. Like, I just got to say that. Hypothetically, allegedly. How do I get out of that, Adam?
And some other things.
Well, you didn't actually strike him, so
That's true.
there's that.
Okay. All right.
What I think about the tariffs overall is there's a reason that Andrew Jackson is the president that has his portrait up in the Oval Office. And one of the famous stories about him is after a negative Supreme Court outcome, him saying the Supreme Court has made their decision, now let's see them enforce it. And that's where we are right now, is and unfortunately in the dissents, they basically I believe Kavanaugh laid out the groundwork for, and here's how you can get around this decision. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And there is a legal, quote, legal way for him to go about this, that he can kind of do whatever he wants. And without the Republicans in Congress willing to check that power, which they are not, he will be able to do whatever he wants.
Well, not necessarily, Chris, because he will be sued. And you've seen actually more large corporations suing him over the initial Supreme Court decision, trying to get their money back. Of course, you know, the idea of it coming back to consumers.
Happened with all of his criminal charges? What happened there? The clock ran out.
Well, yeah, aside from the ones in New York, yeah, which are still under appeal.
That's the strategy is, all right, sue me. And in 2 years, when the decision comes down that this was illegal, we'll do something else. It's that is the overwhelming philosophy of his legal team, his administration, and it has been hugely successful.
He's been doing that all his life. You're absolutely right about that. There are thousands of stories which highlight that. This is a little bit different because companies can go in and get it. I think that states have already sued him on this new tariff scheme, and they can get a temporary restraining order which stops it. And the Supreme Court, with the shadow docket, has been taking up cases at a lightning speed in the past, decade, and really more the past 4 or 5 years, much more than they have ever done so before. So there is a mechanism to stop this. Now, it is an imperfect mechanism, to be sure, and it would be much better if the Republicans in Congress actually showed that they cared one whit about the American public and did something to take back the power that the Constitution granted them. You are absolutely right about that, no question. But it is not that we are completely powerless. So I guess that's a small distinction, and only a lawyer would make it, but that's why I'm here, I suppose.
Oh, State of the Union.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide where to start
State of
here.
delusion. Let me just say, I recommend this to everyone. Because I had to have a call with Chris for part of that. I had the State of the Union on, but I had it on mute with subtitles. And I gotta say that it was way easier to watch when you don't hear him talking. Like you don't hear his voice.
Oh, God.
There is an element. It's so much better. Although it's creepier because when you actually watch the people like interfacing without dialogue to distract you from it, it's like one of those scary cult movies from Nazi Germany. Except for it's today.
I was trying to figure out where to start. I think this is a good place just leading into this. Fetterman, I think a couple of days before the State of the Union, he's trying to say Democrats need to be good boys and girls and, basically sit on their hands and behave. And my response to this was like, are you going to wear your, you're dressed like a toddler, like all the time. And
Right.
But he surprised us, or surprised me at least, and wore a suit to the State of the Union.
Which I felt was like super offensive. I was very annoyed by this. I mean, I would have been annoyed by him regardless, but this was just extra and above.
Yeah.
Like now you show up with a suit for this guy?
Well, and then he led into it with like, everyone needs to be, everyone needs to behave. And I just thought that was just,
this is what I'm saying. This is you're giving this man the deference? Like what, why? Like what?
I will say again, as a Pennsylvanian, don't give this man oxygen. We'll take care of him.
I think that's the problem, Chris. Like, I think he didn't have enough oxygen at some point, and now there's actual brain damage. And I'm not trying to be mean.
This is who he always was.
Really?
The Black community called it. I'm gonna just say this because we were trying to tell people that Conor Brown was a better choice.
Oh, they did.
And I was playing the video of this, of his interview where he chased down a Black man He
Mhm.
admitted chasing down a black man jogging with a rifle, with a gun, because he was
Yeah.
jogging through his neighborhood. You know, this is not new. This
Wait,
is
but
who-
tell me
he
this,
was
because I don't
never
remember the
armed.
timeline of Fetterman. Like, because I don't remember. He was just elected one day. I don't know where I was. Like,
He was
I don't.
Chris, tell us, wasn't he mayor?
He was mayor of Braddock, Pennsylvania, and he was then lieutenant governor.
But what time? When did he get elected as senator?
Was 23.
What was I doing?
Don't quote me on that.
I literally
never know
don't
what you're
remember
doing,
any of
Casey.
it. I don't remember.
never-
It's just like I have no memory of like I didn't support him. I didn't like, you know what I mean? Like I don't have any like memories of liking him and talking about him. He was just there one day. He was just this guy and he was kind of funny. Like he showed up in like sweats and stuff. And initially I actually kind of liked that because I was like, good, break some of those stupid ass traditions that are preventing us from moving forward. You know, like that's part of the problem is we're stuck in the past and like people won't move forward because of these rigid things, traditions that don't matter. But this is the day that you decide that you're going to be a part of it. Rude. Anyway,
Yes.
I think they should excommunicate him from the Democratic Party. I think there should be a way to do that because these people, and I've talked about this with Sinema and I talked about it with Manchin. It makes it look deceptively like as if the Democrats have more of a majority or more of a following than they actually do, because these people he doesn't vote with them like at least half the time, right? He doesn't support them. He sows seeds of discord. Like he just in general is not like he's like on your team, but he's kicking the ball to the other goal. Like you bench that guy. Like you don't let him come on as a starter. So why are we not like there just should be a way to completely like strip them of their title as Democrat because this is harmful to the party.
I think that he does vote with the Democrats a lot more than people give him credit for. Nevertheless, this is Pennsylvania, and there's no reason why we shouldn't have someone who is a team player who votes with us 100% of the time.
Robert
Very
Wright-
different than
Wright-
Manchin.
Robert Wright had
Yeah.
a really good video on this whole concept of saying, but you have to understand that there are always going to be these people in your caucus. And so what that means is that your goal is not 51, your goal is 61, because
Right.
you need to account for those people that are
But the
going
Republicans
to be,
don't have to. What's his answer to that? The Republicans don't. They don't have to deal with this shit. They don't. Their
Well,
people
because
unify.
because they don't have scruples.
Sure,
So-
but I'm just, but still they managed to do it. So I'm just saying, if we can't, we can't.
Well, they've got
rely on these people.
Murkowski. I mean, Murkowski. Listen.
Yeah.
I have no love for Murkowski or Collins.
I was gonna say
Certainly.
she also isn't necessarily always real, but they usually turn is the thing.
Well,
This is
but
the thing.
not
They're not reliable.
not for the ACA.
That's
Right.
true.
And this is the thing. We might not have them in the Senate because we've had such a very slim majority in the Senate. But think of the House. We had the slimmest majority in the House, and Speaker Pelosi kept
Held
our
it
caucus together like you
She held it
wouldn't
together.
friggin'
Yes,
believe.
this is. I'm saying
It was-
leadership makes a huge difference.
It
and
really makes a difference.
and that's the problem with Schumer, that's the problem with Jeffries, and actually if you want to, like, I know Chris, you probably have something to say on Jeffries in the State of the Union, but he I feel like his response to the State of the Union sort of just for me might have been the nail in the coffin, because it's not that I've been sticking up for him, but it's more so that I've said I think if you get a good strong leader in the Senate, like if you get a Chris Murphy in there, that Hakeem Jeffries might be one that you could work with, right? Like that I feel like he could be led a certain way. But after the way he responded, and the way that he, like the precedent that he wanted for the State of the Union, I am like, I'm probably wrong about that. So I'm probably gonna have to dial back.
I just did not appreciate the direction. Basically, Schumer was like, you don't have to come, whatever. That I was actually fine with that with Schumer. But Hakeem Jeffries was basically come and behave. So basically what Fetterman was saying. And I just think, why? Like the mood of the country, we want fighters. We want, people like Al Green, which we'll talk about. The fact that you're sitting there and then they applauded this man at sometimes, anyway. But like, Casey, we were on the phone. What's that?
Yeah,
No, I was
no,
just
I
going
was
to say,
saying
when we were on
that
the phone, he was holding on for dear life to the podium. And
it was so bad.
like, this is not like he was leaning into the like full body.
He's trying
weight.
to look
Casey
like he's
put-
cool. He's trying to be like, yeah, like, but it's
Yeah.
really like he literally can't stand up. He doesn't have the strength to do it. And
for 2 hours. Like,
for 2 hours. And to your
Yeah.
point, Chris, you said the based on like what the people are feeling. My husband walked out and it's not that he's not political, he is, but he's not like us. He doesn't have social media, right? Like, so he comes home and watches the news, like he watches things like this, like whatever.
What?
What?
Somebody doesn't have social media?
He's
What
a
the
lawyer,
hell?
Adam. He's a lawyer. He doesn't have any social media. He's
Adam's
lost
a
and made him
lawyer.
get a LinkedIn account. Anyway, so he came out and saw the banner on CNN that said Hakeem Jeffries says, like, keep your mouth shut and stay in line. And he's like, what the hell is this? Like, because I hadn't talked to him about it. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, why aren't they all disrupting? And before Al Green had done anything, he was like thinking that. He's like, well, surely they're going to one by one stand up, every single one of them, and so that he won't be able to say anything because they'll just keep having to remove them. And he's like, why aren't they doing that? And I was like, I don't know. Like, great. But so it's not just him. There's millions of other people watching, feeling the same thing, and they don't understand, right? Like, we're online and we're plugged in and we have expectations, we're disappointed, whatever. But these people may not be that way. And so they tune into something like this and they're like, what? Like, they're so disillusioned. This is why when we see the polls, people are so upset with Trump and the Republicans, but the Democrats aren't much. I mean, they might be winning elections, but in terms of approvals, they're not much farther ahead than the Republicans, and that's a problem.
Well, I think that they're of the mindset that if your enemy is like already doing something to screw themselves up, don't do anything to interrupt them. And they're just fearful in general. Like, we're
Then
going
they
to do
should have
something.
stayed
Someone's going to
home.
say something. Exactly. They should have stayed home.
You pick pick one, do one, but to do
My
it together.
husband felt the exact same way. He left, he walked out, he went and got food because he was like, oh, I can't watch this anymore. I mean, they're not even doing anything. They're attacking some of the members, and nobody's like, they should all have said something. They should have started saying shame, 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 or pedo prez. If I'd have been speaker, they'd all have been chanting that from the beginning.
We talked about this, right?
And
I just
the
want
other
to
two-
point out that since he was
USA.
grabbing the podium so tight, his pink bloodshot hands did not soak through this makeup, and so that was clogged too. So he's back to having. I thought his bruises got better. I thought, but apparently not.
I'm with you, Melina. Why would we let him spew lies? I mean, because I get the thought of, like, you don't want to interrupt your enemy when they're doing something bad, like let them be on stage. But the problem is, like what Chris was saying earlier, and what we keep talking about, how they just have a platform to keep saying lies over and over and over, and those lies appear believable because they say the same things. And why are we giving them that option? Like, or if there's a chance to stop that, wouldn't you, or disrupt that, or slow that down?
Like, he said that side is crazy. Okay.
Right.
And they should have said shame, shame, shame. And when they said stand up, they should have pointed at the Republicans and said shame, shame, shame. You're an immigrant hater. You're a xenophobe. You're racist. You're bigots. I mean, they should have said something. But I think
they should have had like party favors or something where they blew those little horns every time you said a lie. Like, I think that would have been really fun to watch.
That
Like,
would have been rad.
they would have escorted people out. But if you had, it's like, you know what
That's all we would have
stadiums-
Ice whistles.
where
Ice
the
whistles.
stadiums where people sneak in the balls and start doing the balls and popping those around. I thought that would have been fun to do. And I was like, listen, because you know how they would do that at high school graduations, and because I was a teacher. And in the funny, you can never figure out because they all have them underneath their things and they're kind of passing it around and you don't know who has it. And it's just really fun to watch. And I think people at home would have been entertained, but I also think that it would have lasted a really long time. And so I don't know why they didn't do something like that. Like, I just, who at this point, also, if they're gonna ruin the country, like, let's at least have some fun. Like, bring the balls, bring the party, like sounds, like, at least make it a contest.
I vote for Casey for speaker.
No.
I think the answer was to not show up, and I asked my representative again to not show up, as I did last year, and that went nowhere. She showed up, but
Mine showed up.
I understand not showing up, but I also understand what Al Green did. He showed up with a purpose to make a statement. He was escorted out, and I'm telling you, everybody in his caucus should have walked out with him, just like last time.
Exactly.
I mean,
That's why.
what a missed opportunity.
I wanted everybody to have their own sign. Everybody's been affected some way. Why can't everybody hold a different sign?
There were so many different ways you could have done that with the signs. You could have had the survivors come and had one representative be with each survivor and have only those people come. There were so many different ways you could have done this. And the precedent for this, the State of the Union has become this pageantry. It is not a requirement. In the Constitution, it is just stated that the president will from time to time speak on the State of the Union to the Congress. And up until, I think it was Woodrow Wilson, it wasn't even in person. It was literally a letter that was sent to Congress. And the whole atmosphere of the State of the Union was the reverse of what it should be. It's the Congress inviting the president in to speak. And the way that this was framed by Trump was, especially with giving out the awards and everything, it was him presiding over his kingdom. And that is not something that the Democrats needed to participate in whatsoever. Jamel Bowie had a great video where he described it as, well, that was a Klan rally. That the way that they were cheering, the way that the Republicans were chanting, it was reminiscent of so many of the dictatorial countries that we have been opposed to in theory for many years. That is the vibe that it gave.
I want to stay on Al Green for a second here. I'm going to play a video and then I want to make a point about Al Green. There he is walking out.
And we will never go back to where we were.
So that was Steve Scalise, who was a flaming racist.
Yeah, wasn't
trying to snatch the sign from his hand.
Assault.
And then they're kind of shoving him along. And the thing I want to say about Al Green that I don't think is being talked about enough, this is a man who was born in the late 40s in the South. He was raised in the Jim Crow South. So for him, this is everything. And the fact that when he, think of how that felt to him when he saw a former president and first lady turn into monkey memes by the current sitting president of the United States. So this is not just, Al Green holding a sign. This is him sticking up for Black people, a man that was born in the South. And so this is more than, just a sign. For me, it hurts a little bit that he didn't get the support from his caucus that he should.
He never does. It's like
Jeffrey should have stood up for him and been like, "Let's go, guys." That's my.
This is what I mean. That would have been great. By the way, that would have been an awesome thing. Look like you're gonna show up, and then
can you imagine? We would have rallied so much support. That would have been a huge viral moment.
The American people are waiting for a sign of strength like that from the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party is like,
well, and I would like to point out that after Al Green, we had Representative Omar and Tlaib shouting and correcting him and shouting over him and disrupting him. And I was watching and I'm like, look, it's the woman with the hijab. Once again, it's like the only people who actually did something were people of color. And but I mean, someone brought up in the later I saw in a thread, somebody, because obviously I'm not the only one that noticed this. And someone brought it up on Threads, and in the thread, someone said, well, yeah, but a lot of people did stay home. And so, yeah, maybe those would have been the people that would have spoken out. Maybe that's why they stayed home. I don't know. But the bottom line is it's a bad look, especially when your party is supposed to be the party that is the party of inclusivity, that is the party of human rights, and civil rights, and is the party that is, standing up for DEI and opposing all of Trump's racist policies. And then yet who's doing all the work to try to stop it? like
Yeah.
publicly, visually, right? Like that's because again, I'm not suggesting that other people aren't working hard behind the scenes and aren't trying, but visually that matters. Like we know that. It's like what Chris was saying. This is like a performance. Politics is performative at this point. And so in the performance, what you're showing the people at home who look like these people is that the white people aren't showing up to support them, and that they can't trust those people, that they're not safe people. And that's not a message to send at this point. Like I can't stress how awful that is. There aren't really words. I've said a lot of them, but I don't know that I've really hit upon it, because it's just in 10 years, this is going to be something, is what I'm saying. This kind of stuff is what's going to be referenced as some of the worst mistakes that the Democratic Party and the leadership made, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah.
And this goes to the leadership of Jeffries, that the bottom line in all of this is it was very obvious that there was no coordinated effort amongst the Democrats to do anything. If they had done anything unified, maybe we could argue maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. Maybe they could have done this, but we can't have that conversation because there was no unified response.
I mean, people are begging for that kind of thing, like begging, like rank and file Democrats.
I would have taken T-shirts with his mugshot on them at this point. Like I would have taken literally almost anything if they all did it. If
you decided to stay home, that's all well and good. Better than being there and clapping for Trump, anything Trump has to say. But I do have to say this: what Al Green did took courage. I don't think it takes courage to stay home. You know, if that's your choice.
No, agreed. Especially now with this administration, because the idea that they wouldn't cart somebody off and detain them, you need to be honest about that, because look what they're doing. People were talking, where were we listening to it, where they were talking about it was on a call that I had. I think Melinda was on the call, and he was talking about how they'd done some of the protesting for the what was the movement in the Lafayette Square? Why can I not think of this, with the tents and everything? What, this was 10 years ago? Why am I blanking?
Occupy.
Occupy
Wall Street.
Thank you. And that they were saying yeah, we might have gotten shoved around, we might have gotten, maybe we got arrested, whatever, but we didn't fear for our lives. Now we didn't legitimately think that we might be and things have escalated to the point where that is an actual consideration, obviously, because we're seeing it happen regularly. So someone like Al Green getting up, having absolutely no support from the party, is also a very risky message to the administration, because it's signaling no one's gonna stop you if you try to take these people, right? No one's gonna stand up for these people. I just feel like if they stood in solidarity, it would look like a much more imposing threat. And now the Democrats look weak, and they look like they can be easily, trampled over.
And to piggyback on that, people are being taken every effing day. Thousands of people have been taken. 70,000 people, I believe it was at least 70,000 people have been taken. These are our neighbors. These are community members. And where the hell is Democratic leadership? They should be out there every day. I mean, the American people should be at some of these concentration camps saying, why are you putting a newborn baby that was just born a few days ago in a friggin' concentration camp where measles is running rampant? That is inexcusable.
And I also feel like that should be a bigger part of the negotiation with the shutdown, because if we don't want them wearing masks, that's one thing. But what we really want is access to the detention camps without notice, without an appointment. We want our representatives exercising their constitutional right of oversight. All right. So I think that's not happening. And I don't even know that that's part of the negotiation that they're doing. I honestly don't know what the status is of the partial shutdown negotiations. It's I'm not hearing much. Are you guys hearing anything?
No.
Yeah. That's
Detention, specifically children under 12. There should not be 10-year-olds in jail. I mean, what state puts babies in jail? Like, tell me.
I don't think
which
there should be
state is
anybody
putting
under
infants
18.
in jail?
There shouldn't be anyone under 18 at these facilities.
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
and
there
honestly-
shouldn't be anyone in these facilities, but there should
But
certainly not
right,
be
like,
But
but
what
not
we're hearing
children,
is
and I
actually worse
extend
than
that to
jail.
18.
Like a lot
Yeah,
of the
worse
stories
than
we're hearing out of like prisons are better. Like they have better standards, and at least the
That
guards,
is correct.
aren't in mass making fun of and dehumanizing the detainees. This is
and
not
sexually
that.
assaulting them.
The goal is to make money, and they don't have any oversight. So those two things together are a recipe for, death. That's it. Like, because it's going to happen, because if they're trying to make money, and they're going to do everything they can to cut corners, to not feed people, to not give them adequate clothing or access to water, or like anything like that costs. Like, when you think about that, and then there's no oversight, because prisons do the same thing. The difference is there's some oversight, right? But they get caught all the time doing things that are against human rights, right? Because again, it's for profit. Like, this is the problem when you put the rights of humans below profit, like capitalism.
Can I bring it back to the State of the Union really quick? I don't know if you guys are aware, but Alaya Raymond, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name.
Yeah.
She was Ilhan Omar's guest and was standing silent. She's as someone who can attest to how painful rotator cuff injuries are, she was standing silent because she was uncomfortable physically sitting. They arrested her last night, or not last night, the night before. Was it last night? What is time?
It was.
That's my
It was
bad.
not
I meant to
last
send you
night.
the.
It was
I meant
Tuesday.
to send you this.
Tuesday.
I meant to send you the screenshot, because do you know the exact injuries? Because she was saying that she was listing.
She had ligaments that were torn, dislocated her rotator cuff. So she actually made a statement. She's like, instead of
they grabbed her by her, they handcuffed
and
her
pulled
behind
her arms back
and pulled her arms up, and that's how they were carrying her. And she's a disabled person with a brain injury.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it, right? She had told them she was disabled, and they didn't care.
They further injured her during her, like, she can't lift her arms properly.
Right.
It's worse now after they detain her. Yeah, she's amazing. She is an incredibly strong woman and a great spokesperson. Like she spoke up for the other detainees.
What I find you guys, it's so maddening. It's insanity, because all I've heard for the last 24 hours from reps, our representatives, not ours, Republican representatives, and the right is how Democrats were so rude they wouldn't even stand, right? And here she is standing, and y'all arrested her for it. It's just insanity. It's just crazy making stuff. I know.
One last thing on Al Green. I want to show, this is a proper response, in my opinion. This is Oklahoma Democrats on their, let me move this, on their TikTok page. And I appreciated this because here is this fool, Markwayne Mullin, trying to snatch the sign from his hands, and they're showing Al Green like, no, not today, buddy. So I thought that was a really good response there. So continuing on with, let's see. Let's show a little clip of what Trump says. And these are really short clips. This is on tariffs.
Ruling. But the good news is that almost all countries and corporations want to keep the deal that they already made, right, Scott? Knowing that the legal power that I, as president, have to make a new deal could be far worse for them, and therefore they will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement.
So this is Trump basically saying they fucked with his money because
It's a
these
mob
are
boss.
like with these tariffs, he's basically strong arming countries. He got his golf course, his $1 billion golf course in Vietnam named after him. These countries are they're trying to win favor with Donald Trump because he's changing these tariffs by the day, by the hour, and the Supreme Court dared to fuck with him, and he is not happy.
Well, the EU, I believe, held up. They were set to approve a trade deal, and they held it up after this because they don't know what's going to happen. So he can make up whatever lies he wants about countries dying to enter into trade deals with the U.S., but that's clearly not the case.
Well,
all right.
Very I was like, what am I reading here? It's your very short clips.
That's right. Yeah, because someone was saying I don't want to watch
Americans
something.
can profit from a rising stock market. Let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information.
I was so shocked to see that. I was just like, of all the things I expected him to say, that was definitely not one of them. What did y'all think of that?
They're going to do it. They're going to do
fake.
it another way.
It's
they're going to do it
It's
another way.
deflecting from their little crypto scams, and
That's what I'm saying. So when you talked about earlier, you were saying, I think you and Adam were saying it's money, like with the, Lindsey Graham. It's not that they have something about, like that he's done something nefarious. It's that they wanted him to keep him in the grift. This is what they mean. They know people are tired of people having vacation homes when they can't even buy their first home, right? With these congressmen having retirement accounts when these people can't feed their families. So what are they going to do? Pretend like they're on the side of transparency and they're on the sides of ethics. And then they're going to turn around and do the grifting like the way they've been doing with the crypto scams, with this, like making these detention centers and giving these having these people overbid for contracts and then not feeding people and like all of those things. That's how they make their money
and tariffs,
on the side.
the whole
right.
The tariff, the
So,
whole
well,
thing
he's
they're
doing
doing
tariffs
with
a
tariffs.
different way. He's still doing it.
So
I won't forget it. April 9th is when he did his whole tariff thing and said, do this. And then 3 hours later, here we go. Yeah. So I don't know his exact wordage, but basically told everyone, drop it. Okay, now's the time to buy it, right? It's absolute. That was actually insider trading. So they're doing it. He dropped comments all the time to his buddies.
Signal chat.
Absolutely. Well, and not just those who are in a signal chat, but how many times does he post about a company or this thing's happening or that thing's, and immediately you see the stock go up or down. Like he's absolutely giving a heads up.
This
to
is
everyone.
what they've done with everything that for Project 2025. This is what got me about Project 2025 was that the bulk of it, I mean, I think almost all of it is legal. Ethical? No. Like a little like shady in some places, sure. But like for the most part, they're using our laws against us. They've hired really fancy dancy lawyers that are out there knowing how to do stuff. And they found a way. Yeah. Like the Adams of the world, the evil Adams, right?
Thank you for the correction.
We love you, Adam. No, we love you.
Like, if you've ever seen Community, I'm gonna give you one of the mustaches. You're like the darkest timeline, Adam, and that's what it is. And this is the same thing. And the problem that I have with this is that most people don't see it. Like the average person doesn't get that. Like I've told you, I've tried to explain to my mom and other people because they think they're following the law because they're not getting in trouble. There's no accountability for that, for just bad decisions or bad ethics or whatever. Oh, well, then they're just taking advantage of the system like allows for it. It's not against the law. This is a problem. That the Democrats, this is where the messaging would come into play really well right now. Like it'd be really super helpful if they could do something about that.
I have to share
are
this.
Describing
Really,
is kind of a pump and dump scheme, which is if you're a stock trader, blatantly illegal. But Congress, they don't trade stocks, and right now they've allowed them to profit off of what seems to be pretty obvious insider trading. And even if it's not stocks, it's crypto, it's meme coins, it's whatever else the case may be. But this particular instance, I personally think that was a throwaway line because if you remember a couple of months ago, Trump floated what actually is a really good idea, capping interest on credit cards, which, the interest is ridiculous, 18% to 28%, something along those lines. And that's why people get into significant debt. They buy things with their credit card and they can't afford to pay it all back. And the debt carries over at a ridiculous punitive interest and the debt mounts. So, this is another nice idea that's never going to happen because what happened with the credit card? The credit card thing just died because, I
where's my
personally think
Doge
it was
check? Were we supposed to get
there's
Doge
another one.
checks?
Yeah, where's our Doge refunds?
You say like the really good idea. One really important thing to understand when he said, "I want to ban stock trading," and the camera cut to Elizabeth Warren, and she kind of reluctantly nods her head and claps. But this is all part of the grift too, because there are two competing bills, and this is really, really important to understand. There is the Stop Insider Trading Act. That is the Republican bill that is an incredibly watered down version of the one that most of the Democrats are supporting. 2 Democrats just flipped and supported the Republican one, which they need to be held accountable for. But there is the Restore Trust in Congress Act is the one that you want to have pass, which is the one that actually has some teeth to it. And so again, the Republicans are very good at the marketing part of it and then making sure that they still can get their money on the back end. Once we've done the dog and pony show of, look, we passed this bill, the Stop Insider Trading Act. And really what it does is slap on the wrist for profits of stock trades that you do, like if you get caught, and truly there's absolutely no teeth to it.
Excellent point, Chris. Thank you.
Yep.
Excellent point.
Yeah, agree.
Are we going to be talking about this?
Call your senators.
No, we're not done with State of the Union, but we're wrapping up.
I wanted to say something about State of the Union, which is real quick, and that is like I made a thread about it. What's her face? Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts look like they have aged 5 decades in the last year, and you could just see
tired
all over their faces. And the people in my thread, the comments in my thread are beautiful to watch.
Adam, your violin's still too big.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I thought it was really interesting because we were talking about visuals, and that visual was like it was visualizing. It was
visualizing.
Yes, it was doing the work.
Words.
Well, I always do that. It's like what?
May
I mean, look
Amy
who's
Coney,
president. It's fine.
May Amy Coney Barrett basically age 10 years for every year for agreeing to take away the abortion rights from women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I pay her no attention. I really don't give a fuck about her. But yeah, I'll have to check her out, Casey. So who is this? I think this is my favorite. This lady right here. The side eye. I mean, that gave me like I like that a lot.
Kill Bill.
She was great. I actually wish I had recorded more people like that because she was the best by far all night, but there were other people doing some of that, and it was great. So good. I love her.
And that music, that choice of music.
From Kill Bill.
So good.
And to wrap up the State of the Union, like this was the review, the CBS review. This dude called Trump's speech extraordinary and vintage Trump. And my response to that was like, how far up Trump's ass do you have to be for that to be your takeaway from the State of the Union? Like, that's not even like you think they could at least like try to be a little impartial just for looks. This is
NBC News called it a triumphant speech.
Oh,
did you see that?
I would have.
Yeah, I will send that to all of you because I commented on that and I was like, "What fresh hell is this?" Like
triumph over what?
That's what I
I'm
mean.
good, Casey.
Like,
I saw it already.
yeah,
But
right.
remember,
Okay, so you were like,
that
it
was
was
probably
bad,
before
right?
they saw the ratings. Like nobody
was really
watched
bad.
the State of the Union. It was the worst ever, I think.
I love that.
Well, I'd like to point it out again, 4 million people less than last time. So he might have broken a time record, but he didn't break any records for people watching, which I'm sure didn't make him happy. So
The
Yay.
night
What was
of the
the
State of the
final
Union.
number? What was the final
it
number?
was like
Sorry, I missed that.
34, I think.
Okay.
34 million. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel bad for the
Still way too
ketchup
many.
bottles in the White House when the numbers came to him.
Ah.
The night of the State of the Union, I said on a group call rather, that this would be at max a 2-day story. And I don't even think it made it that far, because today the dominant story by far was Hillary Clinton's testimony, and nobody was talking about the State of the Union. That's how much of a non-entity this speech was.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they planned it that way? Because I feel like they planned it that way. I think they
I
kind
don't
of
think so.
anticipated that he wasn't doing well in the ratings and all of that. And so what a great way to distract from the fact that, you know, he's unpopular, right? I don't know. I feel like there was a little intention to it, but I could be wrong.
I don't think so, because that's not the way he works, right? I mean, he always thinks that he's the biggest, the best, the brightest. And, you know, whatever the approval ratings were, I'm sure that he's aware of it, which is why it was a parade
Like
of
his inauguration.
medals. You get a medal, and you get a medal, and you get, and granted, you know, some of those were certainly deserved, but he was trying to bask in the glory of other people's achievements, things that he could never do himself, to try to make himself look better. That's what I thought it was.
What we
really.
typically would be talking about after the State of the Union are the policy proposals that the president offered and the difference here is he is fully aware that he does not need legislation passed to do what he wants, because Republicans in Congress are just going to let him get away with absolutely anything. So why bother going through the formality of creating legislation? Any other president,
that's actually a great segue to elections, because I cannot wait to see them pay the price. The Republicans in Congress are going to pay a huge price for this. So I think people have a lot to say about this, but we're showing graphics of some of the upcoming elections. Some of these things have passed, you know, like the registration dates in a lot of these states have passed. But I know, Milena, you wanted to talk about Georgia. We do have I'll put that up here. Hold on.
Yeah, and to Chris's point, if you're in a red state, your voter registration is likely quite far out from your actual primary election or general election. So whereas in blue states, more often than not, it's like, you know, a week or a couple days or like
same day,
the day
voter
of, same
registration.
day. Yeah, exactly. So just
they
be mindful
make
of
it
that.
intentionally difficult in red states.
Yeah.
It's notorious. And so, but there's a special election coming up in Georgia.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about this really quick. March 10th, there's a special election. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat, which is GA 14, I believe. And Sean Harris is running. He's I believe, a 40-year Army combat veteran, Brigadier General, I believe was his title. And he was also a U.S. Marine. He's a farmer. He's a great candidate. And even though that's a plus 19 red district, I think it's totally winnable. When we've seen these numbers coming out
of Democrats are overperforming across
with a Marine who's a farmer. Hell yes, that's possible. Yes, it is.
And Brigadier General. I mean, so you can go to
Brigadier General is better than a Surgeon Corporal, right?
You can go to SeanForGeorgia.com and sign up to volunteer or donate. I know not a lot of us have extra money with the prices surging the way that they are, but, you know, volunteering is actually so empowering. and they'll teach you everything you need to know. You don't have to be in Georgia. You could be anywhere in the world and do a phone bank or a text bank. Usually for these type of elections, it's going to be a phone bank and not a text bank because they cost a lot more money to do these text banks. But you might say, like, I really don't want to do this. Yeah, but do you want dictatorship? So even if you don't really want to do a phone bank, just do it because it's actually pretty empowering. Usually you're calling friendlies. You're not calling like bright red Republicans in these phone banks. You're calling people who might have the proclivity to vote for a Democrat, and you have these interesting conversations and meet these great people. So if you have any extra time between now and March 10th, please go to either mobilize.us and look for this election, for this Georgia 14 election, or go to SeanForGeorgia.com and sign up to volunteer for him or donate. Thank you.
So let's look at some of these other dates.
Wait, if you can't phone bank with, and this isn't just for this candidate, it's for anything, right? Like if you have a schedule where you don't feel like you can really do like that much, just being on social media and amplifying the posts and sharing them with friends. Like anytime you can share out a post, they usually, every single one has like a little arrow and you can copy the link and share it out of the app. That gets even more attention in the algorithm for those posts. So that seems like it's not a lot maybe to you, but it actually ends up being quite a bit if everybody does that. So even just that is a big help.
And if you live anywhere near the district, go there and start knocking on doors. You know, there's apps they give you, they train you to do it.
That election.
So all eyes on Texas right now. Texas is on Tuesday. So
Wait, I was going to say they help you out, right?
They totally train you how to do it. I've done it a gajillion times, and I actually
they help you out. They give you a heads up on.
They teach you everything you need to
fun.
say.
There's a script.
I mean,
so
there's
Texas
a script.
and North Carolina are on Tuesday.
Okay, so we've got more elections, and you know there are states all across the country from Wisconsin. Wisconsin keeps on calling me to volunteer, and all across the country we need volunteers. And if you've never volunteered before, I know it's a little daunting, but just take the leap of faith. And if you don't like it, just stop doing it. But it's worth the try to save our democracy. And maybe you won't do it, but maybe your mom will do it, or maybe your sister who's even more passionate than you will do it. And in addition to phone banking, you can be like calling other volunteers to remind them to show up to their phone bank. There's lots of ways to volunteer. So give it a try.
Rumor has it that Casey's husband is going to open social media accounts and retweet.
I don't think that's going to happen. I'm trying to get him to get a YouTube account and start something, right? Like make some extra money, get a puppy, a kitten, like get us a retirement account. Start YouTube.
This is the ad that Democrats should be running for Get Out the Vote.
All 4 years, not just 2, to fix the mess. And that's what we need. If we lost the midterms, heaven forbid, if we lost the majority in the House, it would be the end of the Trump presidency in a real effect. So we've got to keep this going, and I think we're excited to put our candidates on the field to explain all this to the people.
Should I play that one more time for the audience here?
Because the mess. And that's what we need. If we lost the midterms, heaven forbid, if we lost the majority in the House, it would be the end of the Trump presidency in a real.
So the point of this to me is like how important midterms are. So we have these dates leading up to it, you know, register. The general is, you know, where it really matters, but we're picking our nominees. So support the nominee, whoever wins, support the nominee. But you know, besides the phone banking, besides the text banking, you can also be a good citizen and remind your family. This is what we do in our household. We make sure everybody is voting. We let our friends and family know, everyone around you, and then you have your social. Everyone on here is on social media. Share these. When people are posting about candidates, about dates, share them. What's that?
I think you should have a voting party. It doesn't have to be on election day because you can do early voting, right? Like have voting parties, like go vote together and then you can go out and have a happy hour together. You know, like have a brunch or something. I think that's what I'm going to do with my friends this year is have a voting party.
So maybe I'll show this video every week. And so until
I
we're
watch it
done.
all the
Because
time.
I'm
Like-
really grateful to this man for this one clip. You know, like he said. the
Do
part
you
out-
promise?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't tease me.
I mean, the House majority is so slim. Like even flipping that one Marjorie Taylor Greene seat in Georgia 14, that could make a big difference. I mean, they might have a really hard time passing anything. And then there's rumor of a Florida Republican that might be resigning before the end of the term too. And I mean, we're just getting so close. So these elections are so important. Just do it. Try it.
For better or worse, Marjorie Taylor Greene was a major name. If you asked the random American, name me 5 House members, Marjorie Taylor Greene would be one of them. And
100%.
she won, I just looked it up, she won her last election 65-34. So we're talking about this district as if it's the reddest of the red district. And that's with her name recognition. And 65-34 is not particularly close, but when we're seeing like 17-point swings in districts, even if that election goes
without
to a
an
Republican,
incumbent,
even if that Republican wins, if that is even remotely close, that could serve as a bellwether that we're on the right track.
100%. And I would like to give everybody else some hope going out of this, because we do like to end these things on a positive note. It is, I can't say with all accuracy because look at the timeline we're on, but if the midterms do go our way, that might be the last we ever see of Mike Johnson as speaker. I don't know that he would be resurrected after a loss like this. I think that they'd look for somebody else. They'd look to somebody else. And I think it would likely be that would be the end of his. That's why he's also desperate, is what I'm saying, because he knows this is it for him probably. So we can, there's a lot of good things that could come out of this. You know what I'm saying? Like not having to listen to his.
Are there any
again.
Harvard studies about praying for people in elections?
Yes, there is a positive correlation.
All right,
Get him out
everybody.
of office.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for a great live tonight. Wow, 2 hours. We were supposed to do an hour and a half.
I know.
We had a lot to
feel
cover,
bad.
and that we didn't cover everything. So this is how crazy it is from week to week.
I saw us going off, like we got a little off our like timeline, but everybody was having such a good time that I just let it play out. Like because I was like, we could have reined you back in and we could have gotten it done, but like would it have been as much fun? Probably not. So
I do want to do a shout out to Twitter because I'm getting these notices from StreamYard that they're having technical difficulties with Twitter.
Yeah.
So those of you that were able to hang in there, I appreciate you, and come back next week for sure. Every Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. All right, everybody. Good night. Thanks so much.
Good night.
And
Bye.
remind everybody to vote.